When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
This episode is brought to you by ESPN. Catch the first WWE Premium Live event on ESPN, WrestlePalooza, live on Saturday, September 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be an epic night in Indianapolis, featuring some of the biggest WWE superstars. This event is only on ESPN, so go to stream.espn.com and sign up to the ESPN app today for your all-access pass to WrestlePalooza and all WWE Premium Live events.
Hi, I'm Josh. I support GenXGrownUp on Patreon because their unique flavor of upbeat nostalgia and overall zest for fun are such important antidotes to much of the noise on social media. You can support them too. Invest in zest by heading over to patreon.com/GenXGrownUp and adding your support.
GenXGrownUp is a YouTube channel, website, and audio podcast you're listening to right now. All made for and by people who love exploring media, games, tech, and toys of yesterday and today through the eyes of Gen Xers who refuse to grow up. Your dinner cannot just be French fries. Basically, life sucks as a grown-up. Welcome back, GenXGrownUp podcast listeners, to this episode 197 of the GenXGrownUp podcast. I am John. Joining me, as always, of course, my friends and co-hosts. Mo is here. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going?
You know, wouldn't be a show without George. Hey, George.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. In this episode, we tune in for the brand new spinoff TV series set in the world of The Office, unfold some cutting-edge mobile phone tech from manufacturer Samsung, and play a game where the zombie outbreak is sweeping through Los Angeles. Those stories and many more coming your way in this episode. But first, look, the three of us are here. We may listen, but if anyone else does, that's our fourth listener. And the fourth listener of this episode is Vince B. Now, Vince dropped us a line directly in Patreon where he is a supporter. Thank you, Vince. And he's talking to us about the Dark Tower backtrack. So let's see what he has to say. Guys, just wanted to drop a line congratulating you on your phenomenal Dark Tower podcast. All right.
Oh, okay, cool.
Each of your podcasts is great, but this one really went above and beyond to recapture the Dark Tower magic. I felt like I was sitting in front of that game again, watching my party be decimated by brigands, only in a good way this time. Thanks for the great content. Yeah, we did something a little different in that where we tried to like simulate what it was, like in the environment and the sounds and stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that worked for Vince, so we appreciate you. Oh, I still, I wanted to bring Dark Tower to SFGE this year, but just in all the packing and stuff, I didn't know if we'd find time for it. I'm not sure we would have, but I really want to get back to play the original again before too long. But I'm glad, Vince, that you enjoyed this episode. We love it that you wrote in, and we love every time the fourth listener takes a moment out of their day to let us know what they thought of an episode they heard. If you would like your email featured here on the show, it's drop dead easy. Just hit us up at podcast@genxgrownup.com. We read every single one, and most of them, just like Vince's, will eventually make this show. Okay. With that good business in the rearview mirror, it's time to jump into the body of episode 197 right after this.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to Gen X Grown Up. But if you have a friend who's not yet listening, why not? Tell them about us. They'll thank you later.
Now everyone knows there's a secret inside every jar of Kraft peanut peanut butter. And who could resist a moment like this? Nothing tastes exactly the same. 'Cause everyone knows and everyone goes for the secret in Kraft peanut butter.
Bears keep their promises.
All right, gents, let's get cooking talking about media that we have been checking out since we last spoke. Now, this could be music or books or television or film or whatever it is you have been enjoying. And I'm going to start with you, Mo. I'm a little jealous because if you're going to talk about this movie, you probably have seen it. So what have you been checking out?
Yeah, it's the Long Walk. And I'm gonna take advantage of the expletive content warning we put on this and say,
okay,
fuck.
That might be the whole review I need because I'm already excited for this movie.
I mean, whatever you think it is, it is. I mean, the basic premise, and you get this from the trailer, is that there's a contest where a bunch of young men are basically walking. And the contest is the last one standing wins. But the problem is that if you fall below 3 miles per hour a certain number of times, they kill you. And it's all televised, of course.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Mark Hamill's in it. He plays the major, who's kind of like the guy over the whole thing. And he always does these like rousing speeches like, you are the best kids and you are America and blah, 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 you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, if you saw the trailer, you could kind of see already where it's going. You know, you see a bunch of 50 kids walking, you know, teenagers, they make friendships, they become, and you just see what happens. I mean, it's brutal. When there's violence, it's brutal. The violence that's in it, your heart just hurts when you see these things happen because you see what's happening to all these kids. And oh my God, like I said, it's not an uplifting movie by any stretch, but it is, but it was very, very, very well done.
Now this is based on a Stephen King short story or novel or something.
Novel. Yes, it was one of his Bachman books, I think.
Yeah. Right. It was back before, it was when he was using the pseudonym Bachman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody say, oh, it's like the Hunger Games. Like, yeah, if the Hunger Games was the copy, because this was a Bachman book from the 70s or 80s, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I don't want to give spoilers because you guys have to see it, but it was very, very well done. They make you feel for the people walking, the kids, like you feel them, you care about them. It is just a great movie. And like I said, I think it's worth seeing. I don't know if I would see it twice, to be quite honest, because it was tough.
Like it's brutal. Like the emotional ride is
like the emotional up and down on it is just like, oh,
right. Like a Private Ryan, like tremendous film. I'm never going to watch that again. Like it hurts so much to watch. I'm not necessarily saying this is on par with that, I guess, but I get the idea of it's emotional.
I think it may be, to be quite honest.
Really?
Yeah, it was extremely. The acting in it was top notch. Every kid is a different person. You know, like they didn't like have these cookie cutter characters. Like each one was a person with layers and everything else. Very, very well done movie. Again, I don't know if I would ever see it again, but it was extremely well done. I think definitely worth someone's time to go check it out.
Nice. I'm glad. Good.
Yeah. So on that weird note, let's move to something a little more upbeat, George, rather.
The king of the transition, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Well, with that rousing introduction, I will start off with something that is a little bit more lighthearted and fair. For those of you who were fans of The Office back in 2005, I think, when it first started.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that. Yeah. There is a new show sort of based in the same universe. Well, not sort of. It is in the same universe, but it is. They get to this spinoff series in a different way than you might have thought. Rather than it being based around a specific character or two from The Office, this is based on the fact that it's the same production crew who were doing the faux documentary of the people in The Office in the first series. And it's called The Paper. It is absolutely true to its roots. The thing that I noticed right away that is no surprise to anyone, they use all the same camera techniques in this TV series that they did in the original ones. And I don't just mean like that it was, you know, people with cameras on their shoulders and a boom mic guy and stuff like that. Of course, that's what you expect. But I mean shot transitions, for instance, when one person in the foreground is speaking and then another person in the background starts speaking, they do the exact same camera unfocused zoom to the person in the background and then true it up a little bit. It was just really well put together. You can tell that it's the same group of people who produce The Office that are producing this. And I mean the American version of The Office. Of course, there's 27 different versions of The Office around the world, as most of you may know who are fans of the show. The thing that I really appreciated about this show was they didn't try to just do a duplicate of The Office, but they kept it grounded enough in The Office that it feels familiar so that you don't feel like you're just being exposed to something new that feels foreign. There are characters who in the main Office, like we take Dwight, who was very antagonistic in the early seasons, especially, and they split his personality between two different characters in this show. Then there is Jim and Michael Scott, and they kind of combine those two characters into one character in this show. Then the romantic relationships that were a staple of the original Office, they show you some of those starting to develop here and there, people longing for one another, the whole Sam and Diane dynamics going on in one relationship. They have the dumb characters, but they're not dumb in, say, a Kevin way. They're dumb in a different way.
But they are dumb. That's not being wrong.
But they are dumb.
That's very kind of you. Yes.
Yeah. And then there's some people who play ancillary roles that are just brought in throughout the first season, which is 10 episodes long, I believe, that are interesting characters that, like, you're like, there's got to be some little twist in the character. No, they're just that character. They're flat. And it's just really beautiful so far. It is nice to 20 years later get such a refreshed but grounded in the original source material spinoff of one of American television's most beloved recent television series.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think we were talking before the recording, and you still have a couple left to watch. You're savoring them, and I've finished it. And to that end, I'm not going to give away anything in the last. I'm going to give away anything in case no one's watched this before. But I saw a couple of interesting reviews I've been reading because I also really dug it. I think I've watched the whole 10 episodes twice now.
Oh wow!
Because I had a trip, so I watched some on the plane and in the hotel, and but. Someone said, now I get why the UK people didn't care for the US office right away. Because in a similar way, they're like, how does my show I love map onto this new US office? It said, because I think I have that feeling watching the paper, not me, this article I read. They're trying to look for, okay, what are the parallels? And you were just saying, well, this character's kind of broken up into two. You're looking for the archetypes. And I did find those little connections, how, kind of these two people are Dwight, and kind of they took these super inappropriate things that Michael Scott used to do, gave them to this woman, and, those sorts of things. But for me, I never watched The Office in the initial run. I didn't watch it until on DVD and reruns and stuff later. And I'm enjoying this one right now more than The Office. I'm mad there's only 10 episodes. I can't go binge all 100 whatever, because it tells such a great story. And it's about journalism, which I have a background in. So I have a connection, and I get some of the torment people are going through about, well, do I talk about this because this company is an advertiser, that sorts of things. It's really interesting on many levels for me, and very lighthearted and easy to watch too. It's just fun. Yeah.
And that's what I was going to get to just a little bit, because I didn't give the premise of the show when I should have. It's called The Paper, right? Because it is focused around a group of individuals trying to put out a local newspaper. Right. But oddly enough, they are owned by a parent corporation that produces paper products, which is how one character, Oscar Nunez, ended up in this situation, because he got transferred from the original Scranton branch to this is in Akron, Ohio, if I remember correctly. And it's because the Dunder Mifflin Company got bought by that big parent corporation.
It's a clever connection.
And he has been moved into this division. It's just a nice little true thread, even to the point of the little, like between the cold open and the main thing, the little title scenes and stuff. How in the original show, the last little shot is of the nameplate that says office, and then they put the above it. In here, it's a trash can, being a recycling trash can that says paper, and then they put the above paper as somebody is throwing the Toledo truth teller into, it's Toledo, not Akron. There you go. Toledo.
Yeah, Toledo. Yeah, you're right. TT, yeah.
The Toledo True Teller into the recycling bin, not because it was being read, but because it was like the lining of somebody's like discarded food tray.
Or bird tray or bird cage or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they do a great job of just like not ramping some characters up to 11. Like, a lot of characters are like the normal level, right? But they have, there's two characters, especially like Esmeralda. Oh my God. They're like, okay, how do we give somebody who has zero shame, like absolutely none at all, and just make her like, wait, I mean, she's even beyond Michael. I mean, she's just.
Well, she's not Michael. She's Dwight. She's a split off of Dwight.
But she's even beyond.
Because she's malicious. Michael was never malicious.
No, never. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that it's funny how they make a character like that, but somehow they can make you still care about them. You still
That's
feel,
the trick. Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do sometimes, to
a little bit. I don't know that I care about her quite as much as I do some of the other characters.
No, not as much. Maybe not as much, but but it's not like, I'm going to say, but there was an episode where she was one of the main characters in it. And at the end of that episode, I was like, oh, I actually kind of feel for her.
Well, it looked like she might get in some big trouble and get fired and all this stuff. And so you did, because she brought in the whole single mother thing a little bit in that episode. And we thought, oh, she's turning a corner. Now she's going to be nice to Domhnall Gleeson's character, by the way, who Domhnall Gleeson is a tremendous grab in this series. I know he's a little bit unheralded in the U.S. He only might be known in the Harry Potter world to us because he was one of the Weasley brothers, but he's still.
Oh, that's where I know him from.
Oh my God, that's where he's from.
Thank you.
Okay, come on, guys.
No, I know. Seriously, I didn't make the connection at all.
Well, his father was Mad-Eye Moody in the Harry Potter films, and now he was one of the Weasley. He was the oldest Weasley brother who was training dragons.
That makes sense. Holy crap! Yeah, I did not make the connection.
So anyway.
It's fun. What a great show.
He's a great grab for the lead role in this series. He is a tremendous actor. He is outstanding. And then you got the familiarity all the way back down to the Oscar role. I love, you've probably seen the trailers if you're interested in the series at all, where he's like, no, use this, fuck you. And he's like, he's trying to avoid it. But then, of course, he just gets pulled in because Oscar at his core loves attention.
Yeah.
And he loves to be praised for his intelligence. It's just a really fun series. If you've watched something like The Long Walk recently and you need a palate cleanser from that.
In all honesty, we came back from the movie and we watched the last 2 episodes of the paper.
Yeah, I can believe it.
That'll fix you. Yeah.
Because it's really worth it. It's just a good series. The original Office started off with just a very few episodes. Might have been 10 or 12. I have to go back and take a look. But that first season didn't have a ton of episodes. They're doing a similar thing here. I just hope that with a season 2, a season 3, they're given enough room and breadth because The Office itself was almost canceled in season 1 and 2.
That's right. Yeah.
I hope that they give this one enough runway so that it can find its own groove. I really think it's going to contribute to the landscape of these, like, I'm going to call them uncomfortable workplace comedies. Because there is a plethora of those out there. You're talking about The Office. You're talking about Parks and Rec, Abbott Elementary. Sure. There are a whole bunch of these series out there that have been modeled after that format. And the paper absolutely deserves its place. So hopefully it will stand a little bit of a test of time. I don't know if we'll get to 9 seasons, but if we can at least get to 3 or 4, I'll be a happy guy.
Yep.
Now, John, the thing you've got on the list is something that made me happy back in the day. I don't know why you're talking about it now, because this thing is over 40 years, unless it's something different.
Oh, well, it's something different. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk to you about a podcast, and it's George's favorite kind of podcast, audio fiction.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Some years ago.
Actually listen to that podcast.
Yeah, right. Really? Maybe. I know Mo will enjoy it, but it's the kind of podcast you might actually hear, which is why I call you out. So some years ago, back when Paramount Plus was still CBS All Access and they were still spooling up series, and Discovery was just in the 2nd season, they said, we have all these plans in the making. One of those plans was to make a mini series about Khan from The Wrath of Khan. They're going to make this this miniseries, and it was going to be like 5 or 6 episodes, and it was going to span and cover everything that happened between when Kirk and the Enterprise dropped off Khan and his people in Space Seed, connecting all the way up to when they show up in The Wrath of Khan.
Oh,
so
really?
There's a gap of time there that we haven't seen.
Right.
We know they were dropped off. And by the way, if you're listening to the show and you're not a Star Trek nerd, I'm sorry. I'm going to get super Star Trek nerdy here in this little bit.
Go for it.
In case you don't, very briefly, the 30-second overview. Khan Noonien Singh was a genetically modified Superman from Earth who his people almost overthrew Earth, and they banished them. And later on the Enterprise, Kirk found them in cryosleep on the ship called the Botany Bay. They tried to take over the Enterprise. Mm-hmm. Kirk finally said, no, you're not doing that. They just quelched the overthrow, but said, what we're going to do is we're going to put you down on this decent planet. It won't be a paradise, but it's M-class, it's breathable, you can farm, you can have your own planet and leave us alone. And that was great until the Wrath of Khan, when they find out that all hell broke loose and a planet exploded and they're living on a hellscape. But in the interim, we don't know what happened in those years. Mm-hmm. Now, that series never came about, but they didn't let it die. And so what it has become is a limited audio fiction podcast called Star Trek Khan. And they're now telling that story, but in the form of audio fiction.
Okay.
Yeah, it just started. There's one episode out as I record this. I think it's coming out on Monday. So as you hear this, there should be 2 episodes out. And the way they're structuring it is really cool. There's 2 time frames. There is about 2 or 3 years after Generations, so after Kirk's death in Generations. And there's this historian who wants to charter a Starfleet vessel to take her to Ceti Alpha 5 to look for these leftover documentary tapes that were recorded there by Marla McGivers, who stayed with Khan and his people. Right. She was an Enterprise crew member. And so, well, who runs the Enterprise? Sulu. Who is an ensign on board Enterprise? Tuvok. And so those 2 characters come back as their roles in this audio fiction, because the Excelsior is the ship that takes them there. And those are like bookends. And then the middle of the show is history of Khan Noonien Singh and his people as they just got dropped off, and we're going to follow them throughout the course of this missing time.
All right. I got a ton of questions. I'm going to start off with the first one, because I think you might have said something that sounded odd to people.
Okay.
All right. You said, who runs Enterprise? And then you said Sulu.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Who runs the Excelsior? My
Excelsior.
mistake.
Right.
Captain
Excelsior. Confused. I'm like, Sulu runs Enterprise? I didn't want to contradict them on air.
I don't remember Sulu ever captaining the Enterprise. But anyway,
right. It's Excelsior. Right. Yeah.
This one is a question/fear, I guess, that I have.
Yeah.
If you're doing an audio podcast, you got to have great voice acting. I think we all agree with that, right?
Yeah,
because you have to have somebody who's evocative, that can bring images to your mind when they're doing the roles.
Yeah.
If this is about Khan,
sure,
we don't have the man who could do
Ricardo
that voice anymore. He's been dead for a lot of years.
Yeah.
What can we do? You can't title a thing called Khan and not give me his voice if the whole thing is only voice acting.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Are they doing an AI Ricardo Montalban?
No. So it took me the better part of the first episode, which I've now listened to 3 times because it's really cool. Listen to it in the car. In the way that Ethan Peck is channeling Spock, but not doing a Leonard Nimoy impression. The voice actor they have doing Khan is channeling the power and the charisma of Ricardo Montalban, but not doing a Montalban impression. So it's not someone trying to sound like Ricardo Montalban. And that is, for me, and I like you probably will too, it was a little bit of cognitive dissonance, because when I first heard the voice, I'm like, this doesn't jump out at me and smack me in the face and say this is Khan, because it's not quite there. But he grows into the character over the course of the first episode, and I'm on board enough to stay with it. It's not Ricardo Montalban. It's not going to be.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to. You're not going to find that again. You know that he was a singular talent.
It's kind of like if you were trying to replace Darth Vader's voice with somebody other than James Earl Jones, right?
Sure.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Anybody that does it, they do an impression, because you can't change that any longer. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's going to run through. I think they said through November. So it's, what is it going to be? 6, 8, 10, 12 episodes, something like that. It's going to run about 45 minutes long or so. You're getting like this snapshot of kind of, and I did say Enterprise, you're getting a snapshot of Sulu's Excelsior with Tuvok on board, because we knew that was a history there.
Which Takai is always pushing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm sure he was eager to come back and do that. But then, and interestingly, if you follow the Star Trek mythology, in this first episode, everything's going great.
Right, of course.
He's like, yeah, we would have preferred to have a starship at our disposal, but still, Kirk did us a huge favor. This is what we wanted. We wanted our own planet, our own paradise to set up our own empire. You know, you guys were going to farm here. We're going to build a coliseum there. We're going to do this. And he doesn't yet know that shit's going down and going to destroy their lives, right? He's so far he's kind of, yeah, everything's going to be fine so far. Yeah. Really intriguing, and it's neat to explore, and it's canonical. This is canon. This is happening. Right. In fact, initially, Nicholas Meyer was involved in this. Now, he's not any longer, but he was at first in the initial planning stages back when it was a series.
The only question I have, was this based on, did they do any like treatments or script overviews like a long time ago about what they wanted to do here that they're using, or is this like something they're just kind of coming up with today?
No, this was what the miniseries was going to be. This is the story they were going to tell. They may have framed it differently, you know, having the bookend of the Excelsior and stuff, possibly they wouldn't have done before, maybe. But the story of what happens to Khan, as I understand it, is the story that they had laid out when Meyer was involved to get to this point. So it's cool to explore. You know, it reminds me of like Star Wars Solo, or one of those things where it's a little niche, a little corner of a mythology that doesn't necessarily matter, but it's more interesting to find out what happened there. Like we know what happened, but how did it happen? It's neat to see the story unfold. So I'm really enjoying it.
But Mo, if you were asking the question if they wrote this kind of stuff back in the 80s or 90s, no.
This was written back in
was ever written
2017 or 18 is when they were writing this treatment.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. If that was what you're asking, George is right. It wasn't from way back when. It was from fairly modern.
Fairly
in the
recent.
last 10, 15 years. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts, like this great podcast, or on the same app. Just search for Star Trek Con. It's published by Star Trek. It's canonical, and it'll fill in the gap between a pretty good Star Trek episode and a damn good Star Trek movie that you probably already know the story to.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samara Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samara Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samara. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samara Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Be sure to subscribe to or follow Gen X Grown Up wherever you listen. And while you're there, rate and review the show too. It helps more than you know.
If your antiperspirant goes on wet and takes time to dry, how can you expect it to keep you dry? Dry Idea antiperspirant rolls on feeling dry to keep you dry all day long. When you want effective odor and anti-wetness protection, think of Dry Idea. It has almost no water. The whole idea is dry. After all, why get wet to stay dry?
You guys can kid me because, I'm a grandfather. I know you guys can give me crap about that, but
Grandpa Mo.
There it is. So my grandson, he turned 12 and I asked him what he wanted for his birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. He says he wanted a drone. And George, you'll appreciate this. You were way into the drone thing. So
Drone king.
So I started digging through the price range of these things is just crazy. Like just the range these days. But I found one for about $100 that wasn't that I looked and we got it. And of course it came in early. So I had to test it to make sure it worked. Of course, because, you don't want to give him something.
What a good grandpa.
Yeah.
Pre-playing with
I had to charge the batteries, make sure it all worked. And I was just totally impressed. I'm not very sure who makes it. I think it's called a Pledgeable, I think is the name of the company or something like that. But anyway, It's a small foldable drone that I was shocked at how many features these things have these days for $100, which I know, George, when we first started this channel, you were really seriously into drones, and a drone of this capability probably would have been a hell of a lot more money.
I mean, a drone with any features back then would have been, $300 minimum.
Yeah, easily. But this one it's a little foldable. So the whole thing maybe is like 8 inches. The body's like maybe only like 8 inches long. It pulls out the 4 propellers. It has these just amazing features on it. Like it has a HD camera.
Yeah.
It hooks up to your phone, and it has like a control stick that your phone like parks into. So your phone is your monitor for seeing what the camera sees, and then you control it with joysticks. But just the basic stuff, like you hit a button and it takes off and just hovers for you.
Okay.
You hit another button and it lands, right? No matter if it's doing something crazy, you say lands and it just lands.
Yeah.
It was like I was messing with it inside the house, and it was just, I felt comfortable moving it around and not like thinking it was going to go careening into the dogs or something like that, or crash into the windows or anything, because because I remember playing with them years ago, and it took a lot of skill to manage a drone. It just seemed like it did. Like it just took a lot. And it seemed like these new ones, they just have all these things that make it so much easier now to control them than they used to be. They're a lot more stable, it seems. It seems like, you do like, pan left, pan left. It just sort of turns, where I remember playing with them before. It's like you couldn't just turn a drone. You had to turn it one joystick, while the other one you're kind of feathering to keep it level, and, things like that, which I think they now just sort of just built into it. It actually came with 2 batteries rather than 1, which I thought was cool. So that both of them charge USB-C, naturally. The only thing that took a couple of AA's was the actual joystick controller part. Yeah. It came with you had an app you had to download that connected to it. I mean, I said, I was just really, really surprised at how sophisticated they've gotten for the price point.
Yeah. I remember the first one that I ever got for Christmas, I don't know, many, many years ago now. And the first thing I did was walk out in the park and fly it up in the air, and it got out of range and it went miles away and crashed in a tree.
Right.
And then I had to spend 3 days trying to find it and get it down with a stick because... Yeah. Now, the good news is I had all that cool footage that I could post on YouTube of a drone getting lost and crashing in a tree. But in the end, it was unusable because it got in the wind and it couldn't stabilize, because it was probably $100 drone. But 8 years ago, like you're getting $100 drone today, they have the benefit of all these people like DJI and everybody doing all this science of how to calculate stability and wind and all those things. That I remember that was, for a long time, I thought I really wanted a drone. And I wanted the good DJI one. I'm like, yeah, that's $1,000 at minimum to get a good one and just have any of those features.
Yeah. And there's still quite a few out there that are like in the hundreds, but they're much bigger. And they seem like they do a lot more, like a ton more range. Like the range on this one isn't amazing, but it's good for him, for a kid to play around in his yard.
Sure.
I think for me, just still kind of, not as closely as I used to, but still following drone development over time and whatnot, because, they had the Drone Racing League, which I was really into as long as it was televised, and they took that off the air, and then they started trying to air it on Twitter and different places and stuff. It was just stupid. But I liken the original days as when cars still had standard steering, and what you're getting now is a car for the same price, but with power steering and cruise control.
Yeah, exactly.
Automatic transmission.
Like lane avoidance stuff and all that kind of right.
Good parallel.
They're able to build it in. The difference is in the drone realm versus the auto manufacturer's realm, automakers just keep jacking the fucking prices up, and the drone people are trying to keep them low enough because they know, while a car is something everybody needs in America because of the way our road systems and cities are laid out and everything else, a drone is not anything that anybody needs. So they have to keep the price down at a point where grandfathers will be able to afford them for their grandsons.
All right.
And like I said, it's so easy, even I could fly it. That's the kind of thing.
Even an old guy like Mo can figure it out.
So I'll throw a link to this in the show notes so you guys can check it out if you're interested. But like I said, it was for the price and what you got, I was like, wow. And my wife's already wants him to do a flyby of her yard that she's been working on. So she can get video of the yard and all that stuff. So he's been practicing. So he's gonna have a lot of fun with it. So as I said, it's a great deal, I thought, for $100.
Yeah.
So George, I'm not sure what this is that you have for us. What is this?
Well, apparently then I suppose you might have been living under a rock to not know that Samsung came out with a new line of phones a couple of months ago, and one of them is their new fold phone, the Z Fold 7.
Oh, Samsung. That's why I don't know.
Because he's an Apple dork. That was a really subtle dig at us, is what that was.
I am.
So he's living under a branded rock that costs him twice as much as everybody else's rock, apparently.
Yes.
Well, but it's a very shiny rock he's under. It's very chrome.
It's high polish.
That's right.
So recently my 2 oldest sons, they were, I don't want to say they were in need, because in need
indicates
that your phone is not a phone anymore. And their phones were still phones, but yes, their screens had cracked. They had original Z Fold 2s, I think it was. So they had them, several years ago, 5 years or so, I think. Their phones had problems. Of course, those original folding phones, they had a lot of little idiosyncrasies. Dust could get in the hinges of the fold. The screens on the inside were very delicate. They could be scratched or dented really easily. So they came to me and they said, "Dad, we want new phones." I said, "Great, go buy some."
I'll point you toward the store.
It's like, that's nice.
They said, well, we don't have money. I said, I know you don't have money because I see your bank account all the time. So I told him, I said, well, here's the deal. We talked about it. We came to some arrangements. The boys were going to split off and get their own plan because they had found some deals that they liked and everything. And they were thinking about going to Verizon. And I'm like, well, I think I might still have my wife's iPhone to be paying off on T-Mobile, so we can't really leave. And then I went and looked. Well, it turned out we had paid off all our phones.
Okay.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, you know what? I've been wanting to go back to Verizon. You guys are wanting to go to Verizon. I'll go with you. We'll talk to the people there. I'll ask them important questions that you might not think to ask them, and then we can make a decision there or whatever.
Right.
Long story short, too late. I already ended up moving the whole family over to Verizon. When I did that, I decided to get a new phone. And because I was very interested in the folding phones for work purposes, because when they unfold, their monitors, the screen on them is very close to some big monitors. You pair those with a foldable keyboard and flattened mouse, and you've got your computer in your pocket whenever you go for travel somewhere. And I'm like, okay, well, that's appealing to me. Not to mention, this Z Fold 7 is the very first to have the IP6 rating. Now, 6 and 8 are the two top numbers, 6 for dust, 8 for water. The Z Fold 7 is the first foldable and the only foldable on the market right now, along with the Flip, which is also a foldable. They're the only ones to have the 6 rating, which means no dust can get into them.
Okay.
The way you get that rating, they put your phone in a chamber and blast talcum powder at it for 8 hours straight.
Wow.
Then they disassemble it. If there's no talcum powder in it, you get a 6. Otherwise, you get a lower score. Every other foldable has been a 5 or lower for years. This is the first one with 6, so I was like, okay, good durability there for that. I've been using this phone now for about 3 weeks with no cover, no case, just the phone the way it came out of the box. Guys, it's really snappy. I don't know if it's $2,000 worth of snappy.
That's the trick. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really snappy. I'm very happy with it. All of the bells and whistles that people might have been wondering about when it comes to foldables are here. Samsung has a great UI for this phone, although I do use Nova as a launcher, which John introduced me to a number of years ago.
So you mentioned the dust. What about water?
It's got an 8 rating on the water.
Oh, 8.
So it's the highest
really
water
high.
rating, highest dust rating. Yeah, 68 is the... Why they didn't do 69? I mean, come on. That's just a given. You guys should have used that. But whatever. There's could have been so many great jokes with that. But it's a tremendous phone. I am still getting used to how it operates between regular folded mode and unfolded mode, because there's a whole bunch of things to think about that you don't think about with a slab phone. Like if I'm using an app on the back screen while it's folded and then I unfold it, do I want that app to come up and readjust its size, or do I want to just go to my desktop? There are settings that allow you to change the behavior of just folding and unfolding the phone.
Wow, it's a lot I never even thought about in that realm. But the thing that always wonders when I look at one of these folding phones and someone asks you, now that you use it for 3 weeks, you're another good candidate. So everyone I see with a folding phone, I ask them this. Do you still see, is it bothering you, the crease? Because when I demo one, I'm like, damn, this crease would get on my nerves. But what's your experience with having that something in the middle of the screen that's not perfectly smooth?
I only notice the crease when I run my finger across it. I do not see it.
Really? Your brain kind of tunes it out,
virtually,
I guess. Maybe.
No, it's not that. It's just gone. They have the hinge in this foldable. I'm going to hold this up to the camera. You guys won't be able to see it on camera. This is how thin this phone is in folded state now. It is no thicker than a slab phone anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that hinge is so small that there is no crease on the inside as far as visually you can tell. When you've unfolded this thing completely flat.
Look at the size of that thing. Holy crap.
Yep. It's like 2/3 of a tablet, kind of.
I don't know that you would be able to see the crease anyway, but on an old Fold 1 or Fold 2, you would have been able to see the crease.
Right.
Sure. Huh.
Yeah.
Neat. Okay.
It's really set. Like if I look at it like at a 80-degree side angle, then I can see the crease.
Okay. But
I'm not operating the phone that way.
But it's not bothering you, which is kind of what I was saying. It's just, you don't notice it. It's not worth even talking about.
No, the only thing that's bothering me really is the price and our particular experience with coming on board the service, because not just the day, but to the minute that they were transferring our phone numbers from T-Mobile to Verizon, Verizon had a major outage. So we were stuck without phones for like 2 or 3 days because T-Mobile had cut them off and Verizon couldn't bring them in.
Couldn't bring them online. Oh, no.
Yeah.
You just fell in the valley accidentally there. Oh, well.
We did. To say that the carrier side of things is what we all hate about major carriers in the U.S. is probably still the same. Sure. I feel like the coverage is better with Verizon.
Okay.
Customer service has definitely gone downhill compared to what it was 8-10 years ago. Verizon used to really promote how customer service friendly they were. They're not that anymore. But yeah, $2,000. I bought a new PC is what I did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well, when that one wears out, maybe I'll buy yours for a reduced price. So
yeah. I mean, I'm willing to go to 1950.
That's very, very generous. Thank you.
Right.
If you thought goldenly breaded McDonald's chicken couldn't get more golden, think Golder, because new sweet and smoky special edition gold sauce is here, made for your chicken favorites at participating McDonald's for a limited time.
Tonight, turn down the noise of the day and focus on the rest with AGZ, the nightly drink for winding down and resting up. New from AG1. AGZ supports your body's natural sleep cycle with clinically studied key herbs, adaptogens, and minerals in amounts supported by research. And no melatonin, helping you wake feeling rested. Wind down, rest up with AGZ. Learn more at drinkagz.com.
Each episode of Gen X Grown Up has show notes loaded with links where you can learn more about our topics. And there's even more to see and hear over at GenXGrownUp.com.
Why is everyone having so much fun in the Nissan Micra? Maybe it's Micra's major fuel economy with 5 speeds or automatic. Maybe it's Micra's major headroom and visibility. Or maybe it's that Micra is major motion at a minor price. Micra, the most affordable Nissan.
This is the main event of the podcast for the 3 in attendance locally and the millions listening around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time!
All right, everybody, time to jump into the game segment. John, I'm going to put you up first, and this is a game that we have been talking about for a long time in one way or another over on the YouTube channel that has been put out by Atari.
That's right. Yeah. So this is a game called Adventure of Samsara. When they first announced it, boy, it had to be probably 4 or 5 months ago when they first announced it. And I did a news reaction kind of editorial back then because it initially was called something else and Atari bought it. And some other developer was making it. Atari purchased it to get it finished and release it. And then at that point, they renamed it to Adventure of Samsara and then connected it somehow to the original Atari adventure game written by Warren Robinette. So it was at that time that I was like, well, it's a Metroidvania game. It's kind of pixely, all things that I like. I was very concerned that they attached the adventure name to it just to promote it and that it really had nothing necessarily to do with adventure. But now it's out. So Atari was kind enough to send us some keys. We've done a live stream at this point. And I have spent probably 20, 25 hours now on Adventure of Samsara.
Wow.
So first and foremost, it is a really good Metroidvania.
Okay.
You are a little... almost like a little Knights Templar looking guy, like you have like the robe, like you're in King Arthur's court, some kind of a super armor, and you're navigating this big open world like any Metroidvania with a giant map, and there are areas you can't get to until you can upgrade your gauntlet to have more spells and more. It's a Metroidvania. It's if you played Hollow Knight, if you played Shadow Labyrinth or something, it's the same idea. The mechanism of the game is really good. The combat is really forgiving. I felt once you get used to the controls, multiple weapons or something I wasn't expecting in a Metroidvania. Usually you have your whatever your attack is and you can upgrade its power. But now I have a bow that I can use to fire and do things. And apparently I'm going to get a hammer later. And the game is really good. I'm going to keep playing. I see myself staying with this to the end. I also want to circle back and talk about that adventure connection, though. So they did do some work to retroactively add in layers of adventure into this. Still, it feels admittedly added on. There's this guy with a jetpack that kind of floats around. You meet him once in a while, and I'm getting the idea that he is your character from Adventure. I've been transported from this much simpler world, and what I had to deal with was like what you had to deal with, but different. And so they kind of make this parallel. In Adventure, you ran around a kingdom, defeating enemies and looking for treasure, and that's what you're doing here. Well, I would argue that's what you're doing in every game. Running around, exploring the map, killing bad guys, looking for treasure.
Pretty much.
So it's not really a one-to-one connection. They did add a bat that will steal things, so that is a connection they added. Apparently there are some dragons somewhere. I ran into one once and he killed me and then he ran away, so I don't know. But that's not really, of everything I've seen so far, this game could stand on its own. It is a great game. Adding adventure to it as a marketing ploy and layering on some things, there's nothing in the connection to adventure in it that you need to make this game good. All of those things feel like an extra layer they added. Not to say that's bad, but my initial concern is still there that if you use your currency for adventure now, are you going to make a real true successor to Adventure later? I don't know if they're going to get back to that, but there's nothing wrong with this game. I think it's a tremendous game, and probably not enough people, they probably thought not enough people would play it if it didn't have an IP attached. And I'm not sure that has fixed their problem. I don't see a lot of people playing it or talking about it. And really they should, because as a Metroidvania game, I know that the Silk Song just came out, the Hollow Knight 2 or whatever that was came out recently. Dropped on the same day, weirdly, oddly. So it probably got overshadowed in that. This is a much more economically priced and quality Metroidvania game, whether or not it's connected to adventure. And I've been having a hell of a good time playing it. So if you overlooked it, I think you should take a look. I'm probably going to do more live streams on it too. And plus, Mo, I'll give you the link down in the show notes if you want. You can go back and look at the live stream that I already did where we explored it. I've gotten a lot further since then, but that's why another one is likely coming. Cool. All right. That's Adventure of Samsara. Mo, what have you been playing?
I've been eyeing this game, Dead Island 2. It actually came out about a year and a half ago, but I was not going to pay, $60. So I've been waiting for the price to come down.
Okay.
So they finally had one of the summer sales or winter sales or fall sale, whatever it is, sale they have out there. And so it was $20. I said, okay, I'll give it a try for $20.
Okay.
And I've been playing it, and it's a fun game, but there's certain things about it that honestly just bug me and maybe don't bug other people. Okay. Maybe it's just a me thing. But like, for instance, if you clear an area, it doesn't stay cleared. If you go, like, there's houses, you're in Los Angeles, and the same kind of premise that, zombie apocalypse, but for some reason you're immune from the thing, right? And you're going to a house and you'll kill all the zombies in a house. You'll leave the house for a while, come back, and zombies are back. Like, all of them are right back where they were. And for me, it's like having that feel of like, okay, I'm done with a part, so I can move on to the next part is good, because you do wind up having to backtrack a lot in this game. And every time you backtrack, you're fighting the same things over again.
Yeah. So that respawning of enemies, it feels artificial, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It just seems like they're just sort of like random at that point, not really. I don't know. It's just that kind of feature kind of bugs me a little bit. There is it's a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor. You're in Hollywood, where like you have all these like pampered movie stars and stuff that you wind up seeing and saving some, not saving others, and that aspect of it is pretty fun. They kept that aspect of it, but I'm finding it hard to go back and play things again, just because I know I'm gonna have to redo a lot of work.
It was like this trudge. Like, I finished this. Can you keep that clear for me?
Yeah. Why do I have to, when I go through that house again, why do I have to go through and clear everything out again? Granted, it's a little easier at that point because your character has advanced and, you have better weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But still, though, I'm like, I like the idea of like, if I clear a house, it's done. And I can move on.
I think you probably are stuck in your crime scene cleaner mode.
Maybe.
That may be why that feels unfun to you.
It's like it's not done. I'm not finished.
Yeah. Well, in Samsara that I just talked about, you have a similar thing where you come back to the same area of a dungeon and the monsters have respawned. But there's a reason for that in my game, because you need to keep attacking monsters to rebuild your energy meter.
Oh, okay. So it's just a purpose
and to collect coins. So you kind of go back and farm them. Like you go back through an area and defeat a bunch of enemies to get the coins and the energy back. But if there's not a benefit to killing those monsters other than just artificially having them there, that kind of creates an obstacle you shouldn't have to climb again in a game like you're playing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But besides that, again, if you're looking for 1,000 fun ways to kill zombies, if you like over the top gore, so the game has all that in it, and a lot of the tongue-in-cheek humor and all that stuff. But again, it's just that trying to drudge factors just kind of makes me not want to keep coming back to it. So
yeah, I get it.
I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's just me things. I know it's still a really popular game, so it could just be me. Other people love that stuff.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's what I got. How about you, George? What you got for us today?
Well, so it's not about a game that I've been playing lately, because I'm still fucking stuck in that stupid crime scener game, crime scene cleaner, whatever the hell it is. But I just wanted to ask a question of you two, and then maybe our podcast listeners could write in and give some advice as well after the episode releases. Recently, I got sucked in and I bought that Pac-Man double feature cartridge that was for sale only at the convention, that one Comic-Con, I think it was, where's San Diego Comic-Con was where they had released it. $100 got shipped to my house because I guess not everybody bought them at the convention. They didn't sell it there, so they had enough left over. I bought it before it sold out just because I had FOMO. And it's still sitting right here above my shoulders on top of the comic book boxes, sealed. I have not broken the plastic. It's still inside its case. And I wanted to ask you guys, what do you feel about breaking the seal on a thing that is sold in limited quantities like this was? I think there were only 100 of them. Obviously designed to be a collectible for resale, at some later date, probably after I'm dead at this point, because I can't imagine in the next 5 years, because that's about as long as I'm going to last, that it'll gain any real value.
Well, your sons are going to need a new phone in 5 more years. So you can sell it.
So, I might have made a poor investment here. But should I open this thing? There's other stuff besides the cartridge in it. And what's on the cartridge, I think is stuff that I could play anyway. It's the 2600 Pac-Man game, I think. I don't think there's anything new on it that nobody has. And then there's, I think, some patches and stickers and a pin or something like that maybe in there. I just don't know what to do at this point.
I have thoughts. Just ship it to me and you don't have to worry about it any longer.
Yeah, right?
Right, really. That particular cartridge, that gold boxed cartridge, the one that you got, that collector's one, that is one that, because it's coming out in that edition and a non-collector's edition, I would keep that one sealed if it were me. Now, it may have some special patches and pins, but it does have a game you can't play right now. So the new 7800 version of Pac-Man is a brand new port written by Bob DeCrescenzo, so it doesn't scroll. It's all on the screen at one time. The 7800 version scrolled. I'm sorry, it never came to the 7800. Correction, never came to it. This is the first time it's been ported to the 7800, but other versions like that would sometimes scroll around. Like there are homebrew versions that didn't have the whole map on the screen. Anyway, minutia, but it is a unique version that was brand new for this. But that's going to be a regularly released cartridge that you can get in a non-special edition for $20 or $30. If you pick up the Pac-Man 2600 Plus, it's going to come with it. It's going to be the baked-in game that's going to be included in that console if you were considering getting that. The fact that there was a special edition and non, for example, I got the special edition of Mr. Run and Jump, that 2600 game from a few years ago. I didn't open that one because I had the non-special edition. Now, old games or old things that I find sealed, I'm a proponent for cut it open and play with the toy. Cut it open and play with the toy. You didn't buy it as an investment. You bought it because you wanted to love it. If you love it in a box, that's fine. But if you have a choice to love it in the box and also get a version I can open and play with and have the same joy, I would protect that one and get the normal version since you have that. And it's not a universal answer, but for this particular case, that would be, if it were me, that's what I would do. Mo, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you like on that principle and all what you said, but then it's like, why have it? Like, what I mean? Like you said, like, it has things in it that they I assume they put in there because they figured people would want to have the stickers and use the stickers. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I guess I've always had like a weird feeling about like, I'm buying something that's really special, but I can't touch it. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah. I don't know, but I think for this case, so George, I think I completely agree with him. It doesn't look like there's anything that special in it that you can't get someplace else, right? Get through a regular version or something like that.
Well, except for like the pins or patches and things.
Right. I do like those things. The touchies.
Yeah. But and so John, you said something about that 7800 port being on the 2600 plus. I have a 2600 plus, so I already have that game.
The new Pac-Man edition of the 2600 plus, the yellow one that has Pac-Man stuff, that's going to be the pack-in game for that version of the console, and plus the cartridge will be available in a standard edition at the same time that launches, which is
so I could buy that cartridge.
Yeah, next month it's going to be available to purchase as is. Yeah, that's the difference.
And I know I've already got the original Pac-Man 2600
You've got
version
that a million times
multiple
over. Yeah, that
cartridges.
You might have 50 copies of that.
Yeah, it's just tough, right? Because part of me owning something is wanting to open it and feel it, play with it. But I mean, I don't know that I'll ever sell it. Does that factor into the decision or not? I mean, like, it's sitting on top of a stack of graded Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle signed comic books that I sent off a couple of years ago because one of the creators of that series was doing an autograph signing through the grading company. And so I sent those off and got them back. And I'm not breaking the seal on those to go read those comics at all, or to physically touch them or handle them, but they're in this beautiful display where I can see them. Now, that's one thing. I would love it if these kinds of packages had some kind of transparency so you could see the things inside. When you buy a figure in sometimes, right? Even a really nice collector's figure, you open up a leaf or a panel or something, and there you see the figure with all their accessories and these nice molded plastic pieces. I would love it if they would do something like that with these, because then I could at least see the patch. I could at least see the pen. I could at least see the sticker or the cart. I could, but I can't see anything except for this very gold box. Like the lettering on it is gold. The box is gold. So, boy, it's tough. I haven't opened it yet. I've had it for about a month, I think, or something like that. The box did come moderately damaged. It was crushed a little bit. So it's not in perfect condition. It's not gem mint, but it is 100% sealed. This is the way I got it. So I don't know.
And to Mo's question and back to yours too, said, am I ever going to sell it? Am I ever going to, what's the point of owning it kind of thing? I enjoy the conversation, but I think the ultimate advice comes down to, if having it sealed and in your collection brings you joy, you should keep it sealed. If keeping it sealed in your collection does not bring you any joy, then you should open it, because the investment is not why you bought it. It was $100. It's never going to be more maybe 3 or 4 or 5 in the future sealed like this. If you get 0 out of having it in your collection sealed, don't waste that effort trying to preserve it. Open it up and enjoy it. But sometimes for me, having a nice sealed one, that gives me a little warm feeling in and of itself. You know what I mean?
I think for me, goes back to that crime scene cleaner game and your opinion versus my opinion on that. Having it sealed or unsealed, either way will provide me with anxiety over joy. Because I'm either going to be worried about not ever getting to hold the patch, or I'm going to be worried, shit, I should never have opened this thing because
you're stuck.
The $5,000 value is now worth $400 instead.
Right.
Yeah.
All
Anyway.
right. Well, you'll have to tell us what you decide. And if anybody writes in with their advice, we'll check it out too. We'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
If you're a die-hard Gen X grown-up, you can pledge your support by clicking join on YouTube or by becoming a patron at GenXGrownUp.com/Patreon.
The newest product from Germac starts with the oldest thing in the world, nature itself. New Germac Natural Performance Formula shampoos and conditioners. They contain over 20 ingredients and botanicals that come from nature, like silk protein, aloe, and vitamin E. And like all Germac products, they're professionally formulated and salon tested. Beautiful, healthy-looking hair. Nature does it best. Germac just gives it a little help.
Try Germac Natural Performance Formula, the newest trade secret for beautiful hair.
As we wind out the back end of the show here, we always like to take a few minutes right here to talk about the things we're either looking at right now or looking forward to between now and the next time we get together. And why don't we start with you, Mo? What do you have on the horizon?
Oh, yeah. So on Netflix, there's a second season to a series I really enjoyed called Alice in Borderlands.
Yeah.
I'm really kind of curious to see where this goes. And this was quite a few years back when the first series went through. And they definitely set up for a second season, and they just finally got around to it. So
I remember you talking about that back then.
Definitely looking forward to that one. There's also a new season of a show I really enjoy called The Reluctant Traveler with Eugene Levy. It's just a fun travel show, and he's not a guy who likes traveling, so it's kind of one of those like fun kind of like how uncomfortable he is or isn't, or how surprised he is about things. So that's always a fun one. What I'm really looking forward to, though, is a new series on Disney Plus called Marvel Zombies. And this was a comic book series, kind of a spin-off series, I guess, where alternate universe where a zombie apocalypse happens in the Marvel universe. And some of the superheroes become zombies. So now there's superpowered zombies, which really sucks.
Oh, no.
And so they're doing like an animated, a limited series. I think it's going to be like maybe 8 episodes, I think, total. And they touched on it a little bit in the end of one of the movies, I think, or something like that. I think they showed a little bit like of the zombie thing, but this is going to go into a little bit more in depth. And it's just a new take on something we've seen before, but it just sounds like it'd be fun because I'm kind of curious how a zombie powered superhero would operate, quite honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I have going on. How about you, George?
Well, first up, I've got a series that hit really hard last year. It's one of the main people from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, her starring vehicle called High Potential. It's going to come out on ABC September 16th, season 2. My wife and I love that series along with the other one, Found. Unfortunately, Found was canceled. So at least we got one of those series to last into another season. I'm also looking forward to the Marvel Zombies thing. I didn't read that series or that run of comics, but I always had questions. How does a zombie Deadpool or a zombie Wolverine work? Because they have them, and I'm like, they can't be killed. How are they zombies? That doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway,
they're double.
I'm sure they'll explain it in the series. But the thing I'm looking forward to the most is the 3rd season of Tulsa King. This is the Sylvester Stallone Mafia vehicle on Paramount Plus. It comes out on September 21st. They have every year left it on a nice little cliffhanger, but also in a way that if they couldn't come back for another season, fans were satisfied. That's the way season 2 ended, although I was always going to be looking forward to a season 3. I'm glad that they decided they could come back and make that happen because, boy, Stallone has really developed this character really well. Now, I know his speech pattern kind of lends toward the mafia Italian thing.
A little bit.
But the character is very nuanced. It has a lot of subtlety, a lot of layers, and the way that the cast interacts around each other is top notch. So season 3 of Tulsa King on Paramount Plus, September 21st, is what I'm most looking forward to. John, how about you?
Yeah, well, I've got to add Tulsa King. I haven't finished season 2 because I'm kind of slow walking it because I thought it was going to end after season 2 and I didn't want it to be over. Well, now I can watch 2 because there's 3 coming. That's great. High Potential was on my list. I discovered that probably a couple months after you did. And I remember saying, have you heard of this show? And you're like, oh yeah, it's one of our favorites. So that's a really good series. And I was enjoying that. There's a new movie coming out. I think it's a limited run in the theaters called Strange Journey, the story story of Rocky Horror. So this is kind of a documentary about how that movie came about and how it's become like the number one, just cult film, right? That's what I was looking for. Number one cult film ever, and has still people watching it today and throwing toast at the screen and stuff. So interested in that. Hitting theaters September 26th. And then a series that actually comes out the day after this podcast releases on September 19th on Netflix called Haunted Hotel. Now, this is an animated series, has some of the creators from Rick and Morty in it, so kind of a twisted sense of humor. Not entirely unlike the television series Ghosts that we enjoy, in that it's a hotel that people are running, but also they live there with a bunch of monsters and ghosts. But this isn't just ghosts, it's all sorts of demons and tentacles coming out of it. It's almost like a monsters kind of house. Like there's all kinds of monsters in and around the house, and this family's trying to run this hotel that they know is haunted, but they have to deal with it. And it's a comedy, so it's those kind of situations, kind of the macabre and spooky and creepy, which I enjoy. And I'm sure there's gonna be werewolves and all sorts of crap in there. But Haunted Hotel, September 19th on Netflix. That's stuff I am looking forward to.
Awesome.
Now, before we wrap it up, I know I have a new patron to thank, but before I do, I know that Mo, that periodically a patron will write in, because one of the benefits is having one of your questions answered right here on the show. Do you have a question for us this time?
Oh, absolutely. This week is from our longtime favorite person, Kat.
Oh, hey, Kat.
And she wrote in, she says, do you have a memory, doesn't need to be a favorite, but just something remarkable, from a road trip or other long travel during your youth? And also from now, but let's just stick to one or the other. So, basically a good car trip travel story. Does anybody, you guys have one?
Oh, I can start. Most of my best memories of road trips, when I was like a teen, I never really did many road trips with folks, because I lived in the middle of the woods and we didn't go anywhere. But when I was younger, we traveled and drove for vacations with the family, And my dad was a dad who would be willing to stop at whatever crazy thing was on the side of the road to see whatever it was, the biggest ball of twine or the biggest boot in Texas or whatever. And I always go to all those sorts of things. But one of the best memories I have of road trips with my family like that was, when you're young, you have family members that you're like, how am I related to this person? Who's dad or uncle or whatever is that? And so one of my favorite memories of that was my maternal grandmother and her family. They said, who is grandma on whose side? I didn't know all that, but I knew that she was the grandma that had Green Army men in her kitchen. She had a big laundry bag of Green Army men. And come to learn, every kid that ever visited, that's how they knew her house too. Because while the adults were talking and drinking coffee and smoking and whatever, you could lay down in the middle of the kitchen, open this bag of Green Army men and play with it. And to that end, I have a nice heavy Green Army man doorstop that I picked up, just kind of in memory of my grandmother on that side, because I always played with the Green Army men at her house, and it was a highlight of all the things we would do on our trip. Playing with her little army men in her kitchen was the thing I was most looking forward to often, and it still is a fond memory of that. Yeah, that's mine.
Okay,
thanks,
cool.
Kat.
How about you, George?
Well, I'm going to go with how she asked the question. She said remarkable, because this definitely wouldn't be considered a fond memory at all.
Oh,
but we didn't take a lot of road trips for vacations, other than either going to Orlando or going back home to Kentucky to visit relatives. And on one of those trips going back home to Kentucky to visit relatives, it was going to be just my mother and myself. My father had stayed home running the family business, whatnot. And this was obviously pre-internet, pre-GPS, barely had maps off of stone tablets at this point, right? This is a long time ago. We were driving and we were caught in a really bad storm. And I think my mother, she would have had to have been in her 30s at this point, late 30s probably, but she was not a well-seasoned traveler on her own. Everywhere she had ever been in her life was with my father. That was it. This is one of the rare times when it was just her and I, and she was petrified. We got in this storm. This was before cell phones, so she pulled over the side of the road to call Dad and ask what he should do, what she should do. He says, well, just get a hotel and stay for the night. Because normally we just make that trip in one drive. Wasn't that big of a deal. She pulled over. I believe this was around Tennessee. We had just gotten maybe off the bypass or something. And there was only one hotel that had a vacancy because there weren't a ton of hotels back then. And everybody was stopping because of the storm, I guess. So every hotel near the interstate was full except for one. Well, this was not the hotel that a mother and her child would normally want to stay at.
It's the no-tell motel.
Yeah. So she was scared to death. It was literally one of those, drive up to the door motels, not a hotel.
Yeah.
And she got the room. She was terrified. It was like probably 11 o'clock at night, dark as hell out because of the storm anyway. And she gets us bundled up and into the room, and she's freaking out because the room, this is in the, I think, late 70s, maybe early 80s, the room standards were atrocious.
Okay.
So much so that what I remember distinctly was she put one of the chairs in the room up under the door handle of the room to try and, provide extra security. And then we were not allowed to sleep without our clothes on or under the sheets. We had to sleep on top of the sheets with our clothes on.
Quick exit.
Right. Which for a young child is not the most comfortable thing. You're tossing and turning and whatnot. But I just remember how scared she was and how protective of me she was. So it's just always stood out in my memory over all those trips, that one circumstance. And I don't think I was more than 8, 9, or 10 years old at the time.
Wow.
But it's still stuck with me to this day.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay. I can see that. Yeah, mine is in a similar vein, like not necessarily a happy memory, but it was a interesting one. Was that my dad, we did take a lot of road trips every summer. Anytime we had a break, my dad threw us in the back of the station wagon. He had one of those big giant Buick station wagons with wood paneling on the side, and we had the window that the back window could roll up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, so we had a dog. And so what we would do is my dad would roll up the back window about a few inches. Dog would stick his head out the back window and, not get car sick, which was basically the whole point of doing that. So we were driving, I think it was through Florida actually, and we were doing a whole thing. Of course, all the back seats are down with blankets and stuff like that because they didn't care about safety standards back then. And then, and also we look, and the dog fell out the back window.
Oh no!
So what happened was somebody had stacked bags right there, and so the dog was standing on top of the bags to get to the window, and it put him so high that she fell out. So I look at the back, I see our dog tumbling down the highway.
Oh,
I'm freaking out. My dad, we're all screaming at that point. My dad looks back, and the first thing that popped in his head is, "Oh, she's gone." That was the first thing that popped in his head. He said it out loud, which I'm like, "Don't say that." Pulls over. We look, and of course, highway speeds, all that stuff. We're a good like eighth a mile away. Dog gets up, starts just running in a circle for a while, and then we call her. Luckily, there was no one else on the road, and she runs back, and all she had was a busted lip.
Wow.
She was completely fine. My dad was doing like 60. I mean, this was like highway speeds.
Duck and roll.
The only thing we figure is that the dog, dogs aren't like people. They probably don't tense up when they fall. They just go with it. So she just went with it. Jumped back in the car, and the dog would not stick its head out the window the whole rest of the trip. So my dad was worried about the dog getting car sick, but he had some pity. So he's like, all right, dog gets car sick, we'll just deal with it. But that was fine. So it all turned out fine. But obviously it's one of those things that happens that you just can't get out of your head. So, but Kat, thanks for the question. I mean, it was a little trip down memory lane for all of us. But again, anybody out there, if you want your question answered on this channel, it's really easy. Just go to GenXGrownUp.com/Patreon, as little as $1 a month, and you can get your question answered right here on this channel.
That's right. Just like a new patron, Data Node, did not too long ago.
Okay.
I see Data Node. So it's Data Node, but the O is a 0. So it's special, right? So I see Data Node commenting on our YouTube comments all the time. And just recently he did what you said, Mo, headed over to patreon.com/GenXGrownUp and set up a regular small recurring pledge just to help us out to keep paying the bills and keep the lights on. Data Node, thank you for that. We appreciate you so much. You've joined a lineup of amazing folks that have done this for a long time and continue to support us, and we're so happy to have you on board as well. That is going to wrap it up for this edition of the show. Don't worry, though. If you were worried, do not worry. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another one, and next week, though, is our backtrack. It's where we pick a single nostalgic topic and dig in deep. Let's see, George, would you like to do the honors and let the fourth listener know what's coming up next week?
Live from Gen X Grown Up, it's Saturday night. That's right. We're going to talk about the 50-year history of one of the most iconic sketch television shows of American television. This is going to be a stupid podcast because there's no goddamn way we're going to be able to cover everything. So please do not write in with hate mail saying you forgot about this, you forgot about that. It's not that we forgot. There's just only so much time in an episode that we can dedicate. This really probably is its own podcast series in multiple places.
Yep.
We're going to just kind of cover some highlights. We're going to talk about some of our favorite stuff, some of the most notable cast members, a little bit of the influence. It should be a blast, but I'm definitely looking forward to talking about this with Mo and John because this is stupid, ladies and gentlemen. I can't believe we're going to do this, but we're going to give it a shot.
Give it a try. That's never stopped us before.
That's
we're not
true.
that bright. It's okay.
That's a good point.
You don't want to miss that one. Until then, I am John. George, thank you so much for being here, man.
Yes, sir.
Mo, you know I appreciate you.
Always fun, man.
Fourth listener, it's you we all three appreciate most of all, though. We can't wait to talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Take care, everybody.
No life, no fun. Don't you know that you're a grown-up?
Gen X Grown Up is a member of the Evergreen Podcast family. Learn more at evergreenpodcasts.com.
No more watching shows till sunrise. Unacceptable for grown-ups. Your dinner cannot just be french fries. Basically, life sucks as a grown-up.
Oh my God, we're starting a minute early. Quick, before that slips away.
Yeah.
Go
we
in.
screwed up. Oh, wait a second.
Damn it, Mo. In 5, 4, 3. Welcome back, Gen X Grown Up podcast listeners, to this. It's not the backtrack edition. Fuck. 3, 2.
There goes the minute.
Now there goes that minute.
Damn it. All right. Well, at least we have a blooper, so not all lost. In 5, 4, 3.